Update. Am I the a-hole for canceling a trip because my fiance's ex and her baby are coming? Original post. I, female 32, have been with Kyle, male 37, for 2.5 years. We got engaged 6 months ago. Kyle has been divorced for over 5 years now. He was married to Elena, female 37. They have a son, Grayson, male 8. Elena has a toddler from a guy she met after her divorce and dated briefly. Ella, female 2.5. Grayson is a wonderful little kid. He has his room in our house and he is so loved by all of us. Kyle and Elena are good friends and co-parenting great. The problem I have is she is everywhere. Beside holidays and birthdays, which I understand, Christmas, Grayson's birthday, Thanksgiving, Elena and her baby are pretty much invited to any family functions, such as Kyle's birthday, Kyle's parents' anniversary, my birthday. Yes, Kyle invited her to my birthday, even our camping trips. I've talked to Kyle many times, but he thinks I'm being insecure for no reason and making a big deal about nothing. I booked a trip to Mexico for January for me, Kyle, and Grayson. Then, Kyle told Elena that on the last week of January, we will have Grayson for extra weeks since he is coming with us to Mexico. Apparently, Elena managed to ask him about our trip dates. Details. As on Facebook, she was posting about swimsuit shopping for upcoming trip. Kyle texted her and asked her if she is going somewhere that week too. She said she researched our hotel and I took advantage of the same deal as you guys. So I guess we will see you there. Haha. I told Kyle then we are canceling the trip and he said he can't because tickets are non-refundable. I told him that I'm not going. I want for once have a family vacation without his ex-wife. I want a family vacation without his ex-wife, but Kyle thinks there's nothing we can do now. We need to address this for future plans and be more clear about boundaries. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Why are you with this guy again? I know it can't be because he's that good in bed. No way in hell. Or maybe he is, and that's why his ex is still into him. He's got her hypnotized too? You don't have kids with Mr. Have My Cake and Eat It Too. You can walk away. I would strongly suggest doing so. Because they're not just co-parenting. He's banging her. OMG, I laughed really hard at the first part. No, he is not. Lol. He is okay, but not great. Overall, he is a very kind and loving man. He just can't say no, and his ex walks all over him. No, I don't have kids and I'm seriously thinking about ending this before it's too late. Because I'm nosy, why did they get divorced? If it's kid-related stuff, fine. But the rest? Is he actually inviting her or is she inviting herself and he doesn't like saying no? Don't marry him unless he starts having boundaries with her, or this will be the rest of your life. Not the a-hole. He got divorced because, as Elena said, they became roommates, even sleeping separately for years. They went for counseling for a long time, but they both decided it was not working out. Kyle moved out, trial separation, then they got divorced. She met another guy, got pregnant almost right away, then broke up with him when their baby was an infant. Not the a-hole. There's good co-parenting and there's this. It's nice that they're friends, that they and you are great with Grayson. But you not getting any alone time will drive you apart. And Elena's reveling in it. Elena is a single mom and probably wants to get back with Kyle. This isn't right. Your boyfriend is not looking after you properly. He needs to back up, or this will not work for you and Kyle. Kyle basically has 2 wives at this point. Opie needs to put her foot down, and he needs to grow a spine. My husband's ex would show up right after he left for work, at 6 a.m. She would bring me donuts, start cleaning and folding the kids' clothes, asking me my intentions with her ex-husband, since they clearly are still united in effort, blah blah blah. It was bizarre, but the donuts were nice. I could do without her just walking through the door though. Now for the update. First of all, thank you for every single comment. I read all of them. Kyle came home late last night since he was working on a project with his coworker. He saw me awake and got surprised and asked, "Is everything okay?" I said, "We need to talk." I basically told him that either he tells Elena to cancel her trip and establishes boundaries, or we are done. He said, "Oh my god, are you still on this? I'll talk to her for future events. Let it go for Pete's sake." I said, "No, this has been my life since we met. She and her baby are always in my hair. I get upset. You convince me to let it go this time, then it happens again." I reminded him that last June, we hosted Elena's baby's birthday at our backyard and paid for and did everything, and he told me to let it go. Where is the limit? Will she be invited to our wedding and be in a bridal party? Will she be at our honeymoon? Will she be at the delivery room when I give birth? He said, "We are both tired. Why don't we talk tomorrow?" I told him I can't wait until then. "Will you ask Elena to cancel her trip and tell her about my boundaries?" He said, "I can't make her do anything as she's no longer my wife. I can tell her you don't like her and you can't stand her. Happy?" I said, I don't feel like I'm ever gonna be your wife. She's more your wife than I'll ever be. She just doesn't like to put out, so you got me for that. That's how I feel. I feel so unloved. If we break up and Elena takes you back, would you get back together with her? He said, stop. You know how much I love you. Why are you saying these nonsense? I asked again and again. He said, what do you want me to say? That if I'm single, will I work things out with Elena? I guess. I got my answer. I gave him the ring and said, I'll leave tomorrow morning. He said, what? Are you serious? What is going on tonight? He started saying how we were gonna get married and have babies. He knows I left my previous boyfriend because he didn't want to get married, and he begged me to not leave before the holidays. He suggested staying and starting counseling in January. I told him, I really don't have energy or time for this. He started crying. I was awake all night crying on and off. In the morning, he made me breakfast and hugged me, which was so uncomfortable, and said, please don't end it permanently. Let's be in touch and work on our relationship. I told him, no, I just can't. Sorry. Again, he cried and left for work. I talked to my brother in the morning, and he and his girlfriend will let me stay with them until I find my place. I wrapped the Christmas gifts, for Grace and mostly to him, and left them under the tree so they can open them on Christmas morning. He asked if I'd at least join them for Christmas morning. I said no. As for the tickets, they were on my credit card. I'll call Air Canada today to see if I can transfer them to my brother and his girlfriend. I'm so grateful for letting me stay at their place. Sorry commenting again, but he legit wanted to paint you as the bad guy and say you didn't like her, instead of telling her that she was overstepping. Damn OP. I'm calling it now. He'll get back together with her. Heal yourself from this relationship so you'll never accept crumbs for a relationship. That's what hit me the most. I'm gonna tell her you hate her and cannot stand her, instead of telling her that I'm his future wife and respect her boundaries. Throwing me in front of the bus. Wondering how his ex would react. Lol, I was thinking the same thing. She may be like, oh damn, I was just having fun stringing him on a bit and screwing with him, but now that OP has dumped him, he's going to be all up in my business 24/7. She may be getting exactly what she deserves too. Depending on what the ex-wife's motives are here, she may be like, dude, you never told me I was crossing a line. If you would have said I was making OP uncomfortable, I would have backed off. I thought you both wanted me there. Are you stupid? You better get her back ASAP, because I don't want you back. Or she may have gotten what she wanted all along, which is her ex-husband back, of course not acknowledging that the same problems that existed before are going to be right back. OMG, I'm so thrilled you nailed this before a wedding or a pregnancy. You were, indeed, just going to be third-wheeling in their prefab world. You deserve better. Go get it. Except Elena doesn't want to be in an actual relationship with him. I think she wants the relationship but not the sex. That seems to be what the whole situation is implying. And that if Elena had more sex with him, OP's ex wouldn't have split from his wife. That's what I took from that. Or he was trying to create a sister-wives thing. One is his emotional wife and the other is his bandmate. So thank God OP broke up. No one should stay where they aren't loved. Well, according to OP in comments on her previous post, he isn't very good in bed, and she needs a toy to finish. So that may be why Elena doesn't want the intimacy part. Heck, OP said she was with him because he's a really nice and kind person. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ghosting my girlfriend of 8 years and not giving her money for our trip? So about 2 months ago, me and my girlfriend of 8 years took a trip together to Europe for 2 weeks. It was an amazing vacation and we had an incredible time. But after we returned, she started acting increasingly distant from me. She went to a wedding and had a +1 but didn't invite me or tell me about it until a few days before. Then she ignored my calls while I was away on a business trip and never texted to return them until after I got back. When she finally picked up, I asked her what happened in a very nonchalant and unaccusatory way, and she didn't give any sort of solid answer. When I pressed her about it, she always gets upset at me if I don't call her back, even if it's just like an hour later. She just screamed at me, I didn't feel like talking to you. How about I never talk to you again? And hung up. Tried calling her back, she didn't pick up. Sent her a text a day or two later, no response. At this point, something inside me just kind of broke. Like, we've had fights way bigger than this, and I've always tried to patch it up with her because I was head over heels for her. But this time it was as if the in-love feeling just vanished instantly. I think it was because her reaction was so unprovoked. 3 weeks later, she calls me and I freeze. I don't pick up. She starts sending angry messages telling me I better pick up or else, and accuses me of cheating. I didn't. I don't pick up because I know it's going to be an absolute crap show of a phone call. Another 2 weeks have passed, and I've kind of accepted that the relationship is over. but I feel guilty about not paying her back for the trip. We used her card while traveling abroad because mine has a foreign transaction fee. The trip was expensive, about $20,000 total, $10,000 of which has already been split. Stuff we booked before traveling. Essentially, I owe her roughly $5,000. Before the fight, I had mentioned, at least on 3 occasions, that we should sort out our finances for the trip, and if she wanted, she could send me her credit card statement and I would sort through it myself and then pay her back. However, she kept brushing it off and said we'd do it later. Regardless of how she acted, I'm a person that believes in always paying back what is owed ASAP, and I'm feeling guilty about it. Like, I literally will always Venmo people before they leave my sites. So my question is this: if we never talk again and I never pay her back, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. It's better to close out this chapter so you can start fresh. It also closes the door and doesn't allow her to use that as an excuse to try to get back in touch once her affair partner leaves her. And just find a way so that you don't have to be in direct contact with her for the funds transfer. I agree. You want to walk out of this clean and be done. I would send her a message requesting an itemized total of what you owe with receipts or credit card statements. If she doesn't make your best guess, and if you are feeling petty, send 75%. I think it is best to annihilate the ties that she can use to try to drag you back into contact. But you can probably duck paying her back if you want to. I'll defer the part about paying back the money as that has been addressed. However, I don't get it. 8 years together and then an enjoyable trip, presumably, and then poof, out of nowhere ghosting you? Something is not adding up. Even though suggesting cheating. But when? On the trip? OP, after 8 years, you should know her well enough to suspect what's going on. What do you think happened, if you had to guess? Everyone is jumping to cheating, but I wonder if she's pregnant. Either that or she expected a proposal. Now that I look at that, probably the latter. Especially if she was the one spending all the money on the trip. Edit. Thanks everyone for the input. I did read everyone's comments, but unfortunately I don't have time to reply to all of them. Most people are saying I should pay her back, though a good number are saying not to. I think I'm going to offer to pay her back one last time, via text. So there's a record of it. My previous attempts were just over phone calls. Many people suggested I just give her $5,000, which I think is my fault because I made it seem like it was pretty close to that amount. But in actuality, it might be anywhere between $30,000 to $7,000. And I don't feel comfortable ballparking it in case I overpay or underpay. As I said, thousands of dollars is significant to me, but nothing to her. So I think I'm just going to ask her to send her a credit card statement and that we both go over it separately to determine the amount. Also, lots of people said she's upset because I didn't propose on the trip. That isn't it. We've discussed marriage. She wasn't ready, and I had told her that I wouldn't propose again until after she told me she was ready. Last story. I blocked my now ex-girlfriend after finding out she was engaged and didn't tell me. But she's depressed right now. Just want to get this off my chest because this has been a whirlwind. My now ex-girlfriend, female 28, recently distanced herself from me, male 26, due to mental health issues. Of course, I was very concerned about this and tried to stay supportive without pressuring her during a tough time in her life. We slowly stopped talking. The relationship was newer, so I didn't know her friends very well. I decided to find their social media to see if I can stay in contact with them for updates about her well-being. My ex-girlfriend had told me during our 6 months that she doesn't use social media. When I found her friends online, I also found out that my ex does have social media and uses it regularly. To my surprise, I find out she has been engaged to someone since 2019. When checking public records, her fiancé's primary address was listed the same as hers. I was shocked and asked her about these things, despite her mental state. She denied the relationship and said they broke it off in 2020, to which I presented her with a photo of them in 2022. She told me she always lived alone and bought her place out of interest for seeing new areas, not living with a fiancé. She said I was being crazy and said it's none of my business. She told me to leave her alone, and I said gladly, to which she wildly kept on talking. I think she panicked and realized she was losing part of her support system. Part of me is shocked, happy, and relieved to have found the truth and GTFO of there before I get myself into a mess with this person. But part of me feels terrible for leaving her when she's struggling and most likely adding to it. I guess I will never know what the full truth is, or if she was even struggling. Am I a terrible person for doing this? When she's struggling and most likely adding to it. Sounds like she's the one throwing herself in over her head and then expecting others to pull her out. She lied. She got caught. She isn't willing to face the consequences, not the a-hole. I feel awful because I did genuinely want to help her during this time and be there for her. So that part kind of still stings and makes me feel guilty. I'm working on it. That's what her fiancé is for. Lol, valid. I'm happy to let him deal with that mess of a person. She gaslit and lied to you. That's messed up, dude. Isolate and work on yourself and your happiness. She dug her own hole by lying. Did you try to reach out to the fiancé? I did not, but I want to so badly. I feel terrible for the guy and I feel like he should know, but I don't want to create more problems. I would have never started a relationship with her had I known. Not sure how to approach that or if I should. I'd want to know if I was the guy she was about to marry. I'm sure you would too. Provide as much proof as you can and don't bring it up in an attacking way. This is a vulnerable and uncomfortable situation for both you and him. Was it an online-only interaction? I definitely would want to know. You're right. I don't have too much physical evidence. After blocking her and deleting our messages, I don't have much proof left to give, unfortunately. Now for the mini update. Did contact the fiancé. We'll let you know what happens if he responds. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that she is as bad as our father? I, 28 female, have an older sister, 33 female. Our parents divorced when we were 4 and 9. Our mother got full custody because our father was not a good person. Then our father kidnapped us. And from 4 to 16, I lived with her and our father in cult. It was your run-off-the-mill Christian cult. Homeschooled, forced to dress modestly, any type of independence is seen as sinning, etc. But when I was 16, the cops finally arrested him and we were reunited with our mom. The first few years of freedom were wild. We finally got to grow as individuals, experiencing normal life and face our traumas in therapy. My sister became a tattooed, pink-haired career woman. I went to college, worked for a couple of years, met a good man, and decided that being a stay-at-home mom is what I really want. Looking at me, you would think that I am embodying what we were taught as kids in a cult. But that's not true. Just find myself in dressing in feminine clothes, taking care of my home, my husband, and my kid. I'm an equal in my relationship. I know how to assert myself, and I am as far from what I used to be as my sister is. My sister, on the other hand, doesn't think so. She takes every opportunity we meet to try and save me. She tries to convince me to leave my husband and my kid, pushes me to get a job, tries to force me to go clubbing with her, tried to force me to get makeovers, etc. I finally had enough yesterday. She made a dating profile for me on Tinder, and she has been chatting with a guy and had set a date already. I was furious. So we got into a screaming match that ended up with me telling her, "You are exactly like Dad. You are both trying to change me to fit the idea of what you think I should be." She was shocked, didn't say anything and just left. Her partner told me that she had an anxiety attack and is ramping up her therapy sessions. And now I am feeling like an a-hole. Not the a-hole. What you said is exactly right. She wouldn't listen to you before. Sometimes it takes a verbal slap in the face with reality to get through to someone. Something that I've learned. The people who visibly rebel the most tend to be the ones who are the most similar to what they're rebelling from. The sister embodies this intensely, given her need for control. I agree, and for this reason, I'm actually gonna go with no a-holes here. OP, first, I'm really glad you're both out of that situation. Even though you and your sister went through it together, it sounds like the experience affected you pretty differently, which makes sense since you're two different people. Based on what her partner told you about your sister's reaction, it sounds like her identity as the rebellious one is actually pretty brittle, sort of like an emotional exoskeleton. What you said to her wouldn't have affected her so much if there hadn't been a kernel of truth to it. It was hard to hear, but the good news is that she was ready to hear it. I know that because she heard it. If she wasn't ready for it, she would have shut down instantly by lashing out at you, doubling down on the party girl thing, etc. She'd probably have quit therapy too, but that's not what she did. She heard what you said and recognized the truth of it, and she's dealing with it in an appropriate way. It would probably be good to let her know you love her and that you're there for her, but also to give her some space and follow her lead for a bit. I know this is upsetting, but it also sounds pretty healthy. I think you're both gonna be okay. The moment you start pretending to be someone else online, you become the a-hole. Opie's married. If her husband or anyone who knew her saw that Tinder account, she'd be receiving the heat of it, not the sister. Sister is an equal victim of the cult, but Opie didn't steal her identity online. That tips it to not the a-hole for me. She needed to hear the truth, Opie. Ramping up her therapy sessions is the best thing you can do right now. All the women I know in harmful relationships have careers. She needs to learn that's not a way to measure freedom. Definitely not the a-hole. It sounds like you are happy and secure in being who you want to be. It's not your fault that she can't see or accept that. It almost feels like she's overcompensating for the lifestyle you had growing up, while you've found your middle ground. For her to create a Tinder profile for her happily married sister, and even chat up guys as you, is wrong on so many levels, and crosses so many lines that I can't even find a proper word for my disgust. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not treating my stepkids equally? I started dating Daniel 2.5 years ago and we got married last year. Daniel has 5 kids with his ex-wife. Ava 11, Jason 9, Isabella 6, Sophia 5, and Andrew 3. Daniel's ex never liked Ava. She blames Ava for leaving her trapped in a relationship with her dad. When they got divorced, she said she didn't want anything to do with Ava. She was 8 years old at the time. Ava's mom leaving but having a relationship with her siblings destroyed her. She had to go to the hospital 3 times over the first 4 months. She didn't sleep nor eat and would have panic attacks at school. The weeks Ava's siblings were with her mom were the hardest, because it was a constant reminder that her mom loved her siblings and not her. She would barely get out of bed those weeks. So around 2 years ago, I surprised her with a day trip to the beach. I bought her a cute swimsuit. We got ice cream. We went boogie boarding, went out to eat, and went shopping. It was the first time I'd seen her smile in weeks. I noticed it was helping Ava, so we started to go out more and more. When our siblings are here, it's something small like dinner before therapy. But when they're not here, we go camping. We go hiking. We try new restaurants. We go back to the beach, etc. And she loves it. I don't spend nearly as much one-on-one time with the other 4 kids for 2 reasons. These kids already have a mom that loves them and they don't need it as much. It is so much easier to do anything with 1 kid than 5. When I spend time with Ava, I stick her in my Honda and we go. When I have all 5 kids, we take a big passenger van and they fight over everything. It takes twice as long to go somewhere because I keep having to pull over and break up a fight. I do take all 5 kids out 1 to 2 times a week when they're with us, but it's not usually a big trip like what I go on with Ava. We'll go to the beach 20 minutes away instead of the one almost 2 hours away. We'll go on the walking trail by our house instead of a 4-mile hike. Sometimes we have picnics in the park. The big thing this summer is the amusement park. I'll take all of the kids with their dad or their nanny. We go on some rides together, then one of us will take the older 2 to go on all of the scary rides they want, while the other takes the younger 3 to the kiddie rides that the older 2 are way too big and mature to go near. Then we meet up at a water park. We've done this at least once a week this summer. Recently, my husband asked me to start taking the younger 4 on day trips, like the kind Ava and I go on, because they're starting to get jealous. I said I'll try to plan more fun activities, but my trips with Ava aren't suitable for all 5 kids. He said I should try to treat the kids equally and either not take Ava or take everybody. I said I will, when he takes all 5 kids camping or on a 4-mile hike by himself. He called me a bad stepmom, so I wanted to know if I was the a-hole. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Why doesn't their father do as much for his kids as you do? I think, given the circumstances, you're not doing anything wrong here, aside from the misleading title. Their dad works a lot and travels a lot for work. They are his responsibility and he should make time to be with them. He knows that his ex is emotionally harming Ava and you are supporting Ava, but he is demanding that you stop? He is not being a good father. He said I should try to treat the kids equally and either not take Ava or take everybody. The kids aren't equal. And the other 4 have a mother. Ava only has you. Crazily enough, you got yourself in the position where you're Ava's adoptive mom and stepmom to the others. In fact, even though it make the issues worse, I might suggest you look into legally adopting Ava. That way you have rights to her if you and your husband don't work out. Not the a-hole, OP. Your husband is callous and ridiculous. You need to have a serious talk one-on-one with the others. See if you can nip this complaining in the bud, if he's telling the truth. And this isn't originating with the ex as another way to destroy Ava. Not the a-hole. That poor little girl. You may not have come up with a perfect solution for helping this child, and it may be unfair to her siblings, but you are putting a hurting child first. She's lucky to have you. I agree with not the a-hole, but if anything OP does is unfair, it is caused by the unfair behavior of the biological mother. Trying to help and balancing out an unfair situation should not be called out as unfair. That would be excusing the root problem. Next story. Am I the a-hole for forcing my ex to cancel his business trip so he can watch our son after his girlfriend caused our nanny to quit? I had a nanny, Cora, who worked for both myself and my ex. While my ex paid her, he left most of the decisions about her employment and how she would care for our son to me. Cora asked me if it would be okay if she could bring her niece with her to work while she cares for my son, as her sister was in the hospital. Her niece and my son are both close in age, so I thought it would be nice for him to have a child to play with. And Cora has honestly been a lifesaver for the 2 years she's worked for us. Things were great, until Cora called me to tell me she was quitting. After my ex's girlfriend told her she couldn't bring her niece into his house, even after Cora had told her I had said it was fine. I tried to convince Cora not to quit, but she said girlfriend spoke to her so rudely that she couldn't continue working for us. When I called my ex, he agreed his girlfriend was in the wrong, but thought this would just mean I would stay home to care for our son and he would take care of us financially again. I told him he needed to cancel his business trip next week because our son is supposed to be with him from Thursday to Sunday. He told me he couldn't just cancel as the trip was important, but I was annoyed, so I told him that was too bad. And it was a good thing he was his own boss then because he had to watch our son on his days and he couldn't do that from the US. Now he's upset with me and his sister told me he broke up with his girlfriend in front of everybody because he was angry after our conversation. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. His childcare was lost due to his girlfriend and he is responsible for finding backup childcare during his parenting time. Most parents have to schedule their business travel when their children aren't with them if they don't have alternative care. So, he needs to parent. He didn't have good boundaries with his girlfriend about her minding her manners with the important childcare provider he employs, and now he has consequences. I hope you can give the nanny a good reference for her next role. She did not deserve mistreatment. Hopefully you find an excellent new nanny shortly as well. I will also add that his girlfriend was probably of the eye candy category, and not someone he really cared about. Plus, how entitled can the guy be? The nanny quit, so my ex will quit her job and take care of the kid? My friend broke up with her narcissist ex, and every single inconvenience he experiences in his life is her problem to fix. He got a flat tire while transporting their infant and toddler. He called her to leave work to pick the kids up because he needed to go to the tire shop. Never mind normal custody handoff would be the following morning. He needed her to take over parenting because he couldn't plan a better time to get his tire fixed. That did not interfere with bedtime. Her work doesn't matter to him. Her family issues don't matter to him. Since their toddler was born, she lost 2 close family members in tragic, unexpected, and untimely circumstances. And both times, she was in crisis. He returned the kids early or skipped parenting time, when you know damn well she needed a minute to grieve without babies. These people feel like we're all here to make their lives easier, not that they have responsibility for contributing to their relationships. His girlfriend created a problem, and he expected you to give up your life because he doesn't want to be inconvenienced by his girlfriend's actions? My question is, why won't Cora come back if the girlfriend is no longer in the picture? Is there more to Cora leaving? Because when you have worked for a family for years in an intimate situation like Inanny does, you do have a breaking point. I'm going to guess the girlfriend was not treating Cora very well in general. That this was discussed with the father multiple times and he ignored the situation until it got to this point. Even if the girlfriend is gone, the father was disrespecting Cora by even putting her in this situation and she got fed up. Now for the last story, am I the a-hole for not giving my nephew his birthday gift? Just bear with me for a moment. My 29 female nephew Josh, 12 male, is quite spoiled. His parents, my brother and sister-in-law, show blatant favoritism towards him over his younger sister Lou, 9 female. As a result, sadly Josh has grown a little entitled. He also is quite mean to his younger sister, because his parents never believe her when she tells him what is done to her stuff. Now, I'm usually very strict, and when the kids are with me for a weekend, Josh is usually on his best behavior. Now, Josh's birthday was yesterday. Lou had a spelling bee last week, and she got first prize. Her parents brushed it off, but I was very happy for her because she spent hours learning each word, and I was very proud. So when I took the kid's day before Josh's birthday, so he could pick out a gift for his birthday, I got Lou a stuffed animal as a "you did great," while Josh picked this game that he's been wanting. The birthday party was yesterday, and when I went to their house, Lou had been grounded and was not allowed to attend, and the 2 friends she had invited were also sent back home. I thought it was extreme and asked what she had done. Turns out that Josh and her argued over the TV remote, and Josh went to her room and destroyed her stuffed animal that I gave her and told her she didn't deserve it. Lou screamed at him and my brother got angry with her temper tantrum and had her pick up the pieces of the stuffed animal and throw them in the trash, all the while she cried. She was then grounded. By the way, Josh's best friend was the one who spilled the beans to me and also told me that Josh goaded his parents into the punishment. I was furious and refused to give Josh's birthday present, telling him he didn't deserve it for being mean to his sister. I also told off my sister-in-law and brother that they're growing insanely cruel towards their young daughter. Now, my family is angry that I refused to give Josh's birthday gift. So, am I the a-hole? Now, for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Make sure you let her know that she has family that does love her and cares about her, because she is likely to need that support as she grows. Be ready to be put at a distance and ready to support her when you can. I'd start to document everything and ask about guardian rights for Lou. Poor thing being so neglected. I'd have a talk with brother and sister-in-law over this favoritism. And if it doesn't stop, then not only will they lose their relationship with their daughter, but also consider talking to a lawyer about gaining rights for her, as she is being neglected and the punishment she's enduring. Keep an open channel with her so she knows she's got someone on her side. Not the a-hole. His parents are just the worst. They are, and they are making a monster. Well done for speaking up. Awful parents. Offer to adopt her if you can, as they are negligent. I hope you're around when she's a teenager and needs somewhere to live when they find an excuse to kick her out. I come from a family where sons are preferred over daughters. When my sister-in-law found out she was expecting a girl, she wanted to get rid of her, but she was too far along. I did offer to adopt her multiple times, but they have an image to maintain, and they refused to let me. My parents were the same with me. Wait, what? How? Can I ask what culture you come from? And why boys are valued so highly that your sister-in-law considered aborting her daughter? I'm extremely curious because I've never heard anything like that before. I'm South Asian, but we live in the West. I don't want to share too much because sister-in-law is very active on this thread. Good. I hope she reads these comments. She's a terrible parent. Am I the a-hole for not splitting the proceeds of the sale of our parents' house? When my mom died, back in 2018, she left me and my siblings a decent chunk of money and her house. My siblings wanted to sell the house and split the money, but I wanted to keep the house. It's a unique property with a pretty big lot in the middle of the city. The house is 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. There is a pretty awesome deck, and most importantly, not in an HOA. I had some sentimental attachment to it, but mostly I thought the house was better for my situation than a pile of cash. So I asked them if I could buy them out, and they were pretty excited about the idea. The house would stay in the family and they still get their cash. We got it appraised, hired an attorney, and went through with it. My portion of the inheritance and a chunk of my own savings were enough to cover their shares. As soon as it was done, me and my then fiancé moved in. We saved a bunch on rent. The house was paid off, location was great, and we were really happy with the house. My brother burned through the cash in 2 years. He fancied himself an influencer. He bought a Maserati for cash, went to expensive nightclubs, vacationed in exotic places. Good for him, but money's gone. My sister and her husband bought a really expensive boat. I guess that's better. They did use it pretty often, and my nephews love it. But from what I understand, her portion of the money's gone too. I got married and we had a son. We would host my siblings on holidays and at Christmas before COVID, and I started to notice it. They were making snide comments about how much the house must be worth now. Since 2018, we had an influx of people to my city. It's growing rapidly, and the price of the house essentially tripled. We've had a bunch of all-cash offers on the house when we weren't thinking of selling. But this year, we decided to move. My wife was pregnant again, and we were going to relocate closer to her family. I talked to my boss, and he said the place we were moving to had an office I could commute to on the days I work in the office. So we put the house on the market, and it sold pretty quickly, and that's when the trouble started. Both of my siblings think that I owe it to them to split the profit I made, because it's only fair. We were in the middle of a move-in house hunting in a new place, so I didn't really have time to go on about this. Well, it's been months, and they have not stopped bothering about how I cheated them out of a portion of their inheritance, and I was being really selfish. They point out that the process of me buying them out was pretty smooth. We didn't have any problems or hiccups, and they did me a favor by not kicking up a fuss. Now they want to split the profit, because it was their house too. This has become really toxic, and most of my family's on their side. My mom's sister says it would have broken her heart to see her kids fight like this, and I should just split the money with my siblings. My dad's sister thinks I should buy them off so they shut up. Am I the a-hole for refusing to split the money? Not the a-hole. The fact that they didn't understand that you can either invest or spend an inheritance is not your problem. They chose to spend their inheritance, while you chose to invest yours. Now that they've pissed theirs away, it's on them. One squandered it on an expensive car that lost value the moment it came off the lot. The other wasted it away on a floating money pit. If Opie gave them more money, you can guess they will squander it. Opie made a fair deal, not the a-hole. With those types of investments, they'd still be broke, even if they had all sold the house to begin with. Not the a-hole. It's not your fault that the house is worth more now than when you bought out your siblings. I'd point out that all three of you invested your inheritance in different ways, and yours is the only one that paid off financially. Personally, I'd be drawing up a list of all the costs maintaining the house, taxes, etc., including renovations or new appliances/furniture being left, and tell the siblings that if they are willing to pay for 1/3 each of that, then they can have a split of the profit. However, only after what you would have gotten selling the house in 2018 was taken off. If they want the profit from the house, then they can split the cost of getting/keeping the house in good shape the past 5 years so that it would be worth the amount. It's not even worth entertaining that idea. It'll make them feel like they are justified in wanting something from the house. Opie bought them out, and if the house had turned into a money pit and Opie had lost money on it, they would certainly not be offering him money to cover his losses. They wanted to sell the house and split the money. They effectively did that, except that the house was bought by Opie and not some stranger. Opie does not owe them absolutely anything. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my friend to move with me and my children? I am a 32-year-old widow to 3 young children. We live in a small but cute 3-bedroom that is too small for us, but due to cost of living and COVID, we ended up renting the home longer than originally expected. The house has a renovated garage-type space in the back, and about 6 months ago my friend Trish asked if she could stay because she had nowhere to go with her 2 kids. I told her that's fine, but that I would not be renewing my lease because I am purchasing a home. Trish has not saved any money nor gotten a job. I reminded her last week that I would start putting in offers on homes this week. We put in an offer this past Friday and found out today that I was accepted. I let Trish know that if things went well, we would be leaving in 30 to 45 days. She asked me about the house and then said that the house doesn't have a space for her and her kids, but otherwise it was perfect. I thought she was joking and said that once we get settled, we will figure out something for sleepovers with the kids. Trish seemed totally taken off guard. She said that she didn't think I was really going to move without her and that she had nowhere to go and she would be homeless. She called her sister, and her sister said no, she can't stay because their grandmother already lives there and there is no more space. Trish is now freaking out and saying that we've all turned our back on her. Her parents don't have their own place, nor do their grandparents. I recommended income-based housing and a job, but she said she doesn't want to put her kids in daycare. She says that I have more than enough money to help her and still buy a house. I work 2 jobs and have busted my butt to buy this house, and have enough money for furniture and everything to be the way I want. So I basically told her I can't help her, and the lights will be out on September 15th. Am I the a-hole for leaving her with nowhere to go? Not the a-hole. You gave her 6 months. She is not working and she is not planning to work. Her plan is to exploit you. That's the part that's outrageous to me. You work 2 jobs, and she apparently feels that it's fine for you to support her joblessness? She wants you to enable her to be a stay-at-home mom. She's basically using OP as a substitute partner. This is gonna continue until OP kicks her out, or she finds another person to bankroll her. Trish is not your friend. She is angling to be your dependent, trailing her 2 kids with her. I wouldn't let her have your new address if you haven't already given it. I'd be very careful about allowing her entry to your new home at all for that matter. Not the a-hole, and no sleepovers for the kids. She'll try to leave them with you or stay herself. Watch out for all males. Make sure there's nothing with her name coming to your new address. She might try to claim residency. She doesn't have the address for the new house. I also wasn't planning sleepovers, but didn't want to hurt her feelings. The new house is gated and you have to show ID to get in. My sister told me to tell security about her. Your sister is a wise woman. Don't stress about this though. Moving house is stressful enough. It's a shame that you've stumbled onto a take-a-mile person posing as a friend, but most people aren't like her. She'll find a new person to try and bleed dry soon, and you'll be her new sob story. Because it's definitely not her fault she has no home, and no one left who will support her. Congratulations on achieving this awesome-sounding new home for you and your children. Enjoy the fruits of your labors. Next story. Am I the a-hole for retiring and moving to South America like every single person in my family knew I planned to do since I was 16? I'm male 55, just pulled the pin on my retirement. I put in 33 years of work and I'm done. I bought property in South America 12 years ago, and I have been building our retirement home down there. I have dual citizenship, so I can own property without it being a hassle. The house was designed to be perfect for us. We have a pool, a small house for the caretaker/gardener, and 34 different fruit trees. The bathroom is up to North American standards, and the showers, grab bars, and stuff already built in for when I'm old. Everything is on one level, so there are no stairs. My wife helped by making suggestions to the designs of the house and by taking care of decorating it. We have been vacationing there for 8 years now and renting it out when we aren't there for some extra money. We have hosted friends and family there, both with us there and on their own. My wife has now decided that she doesn't want to live there for 7 months of the year. We have grandkids now, and she wants to be more involved in their lives. I love my kids and grandkids, and my parents also live up here. But I am done with winter. If I never see snow again, it will be too soon. The house has guest rooms and flights are cheap. If they want to see me in the winter, they are all welcome to come down. Plus, I will be back for 5 months in the summer to do some contract work, and I will see everyone then. My wife said she didn't want to go down this winter, and that is absolutely her right. I booked my flight for September, and she asked me about the expense on the credit card. I said I was leaving for the winter like I had told everyone I was planning to do. This is when she said that she didn't want to go this winter actually meant she didn't want us to go this winter. I said that I was going, and that I would see her in the spring unless she changed her mind and came down. Now her, my parents, and my kids are bugging me about leaving her alone for the winter, but it is 100% her choice. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You can't force her to live there, but she can't force you to live where you don't like either. If I never see snow again, it will be too soon. Same here. I hate snow. After one particularly bad winter, I vowed to be somewhere warm by the next winter. It started an entirely different life path for me. OP, if you aren't happy in the snow and cold and the short depressing days, then you don't need to be there. Not the a-hole. This is such an AITA response where everyone is an island. Married people make compromises for each other. There is a middle ground where they spend 3 of the worst winter months in South America together, and then OP heads back alone for a couple of weeks here and there throughout the year. People are allowed to change their minds about where they want to live long term. Wife isn't an aunt because she became more attached to her grandkids than she anticipated. Yeesh. When wife said she didn't want to be away 7 months anymore, there has to be a big discussion, and they both have to give a little. To just shrug like he is fine with it, and then book flights without saying anything is a huge a-hole move. The members of this board must be deeply lonely or hate their spouses, since the majority thinks this is a-okay. These two might as well divorce if OP is happy to spend 7 months of the year away from his wife and doesn't care about her wishes. While I agree about it being a discussion that needed to happen, literally everything you say here also applies to the wife who is not compromising either. Also, a 7-year plan of retirement isn't something you back out of suddenly. This has been OP's life goal for literally their whole marriage, and it is pretty clear that was well communicated, given the buying, vacationing, and prepping for this every part of his life. She's entitled to change her mind, but frankly, this is a pretty huge slap in the face for him. It's sort of akin to someone working toward getting into law school with their partner's support, and when they're finally accepted, partners saying they actually didn't want to relocate now. Sure, fine, but that's relationship-breaking preference. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law she shouldn't have married my brother if she wanted for her child to have a big brother? Sister-in-law and my brother got married 3 years ago and now have a 2-month-old daughter together. My brother has a son, Jax, 18, who was raised by his maternal grandparents from the age of 5 after his mom passed away. My brother was not part of Jax's life. I was. I have made an effort to be a big part of his life. I see him as much as possible. He has spent the night at my house several times. He's my nephew, and I was never going to abandon him the way my brother did. Sister-in-law asked me to give her Jax's contact info when she was pregnant, so she could tell him he was going to have a little sister. I told her that Jax did not want her or his dad to have the contact info, and he already knew she was pregnant. She asked how, and I told her I'd let him know, because he had always wanted to know if my brother or someone else in my brother's life might try to reach out to him. He's not interested. He's felt that way for years, and I respect that. Having a half-sibling coming into the world means nothing to him. As far as he's concerned, he will always be an only child because he only has one parent, his mom. Sister-in-law decided to track Jax down on social media before her baby's shower to invite him. He never replied and he didn't show, which I knew beforehand. Sister-in-law was upset about it and vented to me. I mostly ignored her. It was after my niece was born that the incident in question happened. Sister-in-law reached out to Jax again and was blocked and reported for harassment. She was upset and said it wasn't fair Jax was taking it out on her daughter and that she deserves to have her big brother in her life, despite my brother's mistakes in letting him be out of his life. She was getting very blamey toward Jax, and I did not want to hear it. I told her if she had wanted her child to have a big brother, then she shouldn't have married a deadbeat dad. She shouldn't have married my brother, because they have zero right to expect Jax to want anything to do with any of them. Sister-in-law countered that Jax wanted me in his life, and I told her I was there from day one and never let my brother's actions take me out of his life. I showed up when my brother didn't, and I stayed friendly with his grandparents and he saw that. I told her that she didn't get to demand anything from him when she knowingly married my brother. Sister-in-law said I was blaming her for no reason, and I should be more understanding that as a mom she wants the best for her kid. Am I the a-hole for what I said to her? As a mom, she wants the best for her kid. Then she shouldn't have married a deadbeat dad, not the a-hole OP. The entitlement is strong with his sister-in-law. What's really sad is she apparently didn't care about meeting Jax and brushed aside the warning that she was dating a deadbeat till her baby was involved. Was this really only about roping a teenager who could be made to babysit because she's your sister? She said it herself. She wants what is best for her kid. Jax isn't hers and is treating him like a commodity. She isn't respecting him or thinking of him. You're not the a-hole for supporting your nephew, as it's especially clear this woman is as much a piece of work as her brother. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law clearly doesn't care about Jax for his feelings. How does she think it would make him feel to see his dad, who abandoned him, acting like a dad to their daughter? She wants her daughter to know her big brother? Too bad. Her husband burned that bridge, and she clearly doesn't actually care enough to repair it. She wants to contact Jax for her own selfish reasons, not actually for family. Good job supporting your nephew and showing him that he's loved and wasn't completely forgotten and abandoned by his father's family. Keep defending and supporting him. He clearly needs you.